You open LinkedIn at 10:47 p.m. on a Tuesday and immediately regret it. Someone you went to college with just announced their third promotion in 2 years. Someone else posted a photo of their new corner office, the city skyline glowing behind them like a hired accomplice. Your finger hovers over the like button because not liking it feels like admitting something, and liking it feels like losing something, so you do neither. You close the app. You feel smaller than you did 4 minutes ago. And the strangest part is that none of this should make sense. These are strangers, or near strangers, or people you last spoke to at a house party in 2018. Their careers have nothing to do with yours. You know this. You know that what you're seeing is a curated performance, the highlight reel, the humble brag, the carefully cropped success story. You know all of this, and yet your stomach still dropped. Your brain still ran the silent audit. Where are you compared to them? What have you accomplished? Why does your career feel like a series of half-finished sentences? But the real answer is far stranger. What you experienced in those 4 minutes wasn't ambition. It wasn't motivation. It was something older than LinkedIn, older than social media, older than the internet itself. It is a mechanism that lives in the deepest wiring of your brain, and LinkedIn has figured out exactly how to pull its lever without you ever noticing. Here is what is actually happening. In 1954, a psychologist named Leon Festinger proposed something called social comparison theory. The idea was simple. Human beings do not have a built-in gauge for how well they are doing. Unlike your phone, which can tell you exactly what percentage of battery you have left, your brain has no objective readout for your career progress, your social standing, or your life trajectory. So it improvises. It looks around. It scans the room, or in this case, the feed, and it borrows other people's lives as measuring sticks. Festinger argued that this drive to compare is essentially automatic. You do not choose to do it. Your brain runs the comparison before you even realize it is happening. And here is the part that matters most. When you compare upward, when you look at people who appear to be doing better than you, your brain does not file that information neutrally. It registers a deficit, a gap, something you lack. This made sense for most of human history when your comparison pool was roughly 40 people in a village. You would see your neighbor's harvest and adjust your own expectations accordingly. The gap was visible. It was tangible. You could walk over and ask what they did differently. But LinkedIn is not a village. LinkedIn is a global, algorithmically sorted feed of upward comparison, engineered to show you the most impressive version of every person you have ever met, and then some. Every scroll delivers another data point your brain treats as evidence that you are behind. The research on this is damning and specific. Ben Marder, a professor at the University of Edinburgh Business School, led a study published in Psychology and Marketing that directly examined what happens when people use professional networking sites. His team ran 2 controlled experiments and found something remarkable. Simply browsing LinkedIn heightened what they called professional self-focused attention. In plain English, the platform turns your gaze inward, but not in a reflective, meditative way. It turns your gaze inward like a security camera. You become acutely aware of your own professional identity, your credentials, your gaps, your inadequacies. And from that heightened self-scrutiny, imposter thoughts emerge. You start to feel like a fraud. You start to believe that everyone else has figured something out that you have not. The study showed that this effect was not mild or occasional. It was reliable, predictable. LinkedIn did not just fail to motivate people, it actively generated the feeling that they did not belong in their own careers. But the study revealed something even more unsettling. The imposter thoughts did not stay contained. They spilled over. People who experienced them after browsing LinkedIn were more likely to report anxiety, more likely to feel shame about their professional trajectory, and, in a finding that should make every platform designer pause, more likely to engage in what the researchers called compensatory consumption. They bought things. They signed up for courses they did not need. They subscribed to productivity tools. The envy did not turn into action. It turned into spending. LinkedIn made them feel inadequate, and then the marketplace offered them a way to buy back their self-worth. This is where the psychology gets fascinating and slightly terrifying. Because envy is not one single emotion. It does not work the way most people assume. At Tilburg University in the Netherlands, researchers Niels van de Ven, Marcel Zeelenberg, and Rick Pieters made a discovery that changes how you should understand every twinge of jealousy you have ever felt on a social platform. They found that envy comes in two distinct forms. The first is benign envy. This is the kind that makes you lean forward. When you feel benign envy, you look at someone's success and think, I want to understand how they got there. You feel a pang, yes, but it comes with curiosity. It comes with the impulse to improve yourself, not to tear the other person down, but to level up. Benign envy is ambitious. It is generative. It is the version of envy that might make you message an old classmate and ask, genuinely, how they made the leap. The second form is malicious envy. This is the kind that makes you pull back. When you feel malicious envy, you do not want to learn from the person. You want them to fail. Or at minimum, you want the painful feeling of comparison to stop. Malicious envy is destructive. It corrodes. It does not motivate you to improve. It motivates you to escape. You close the app. You scroll past. You make a quiet, bitter joke to yourself about how they probably got lucky, or knew someone, or are exaggerating. And the platform does not care which form of envy you are experiencing, because both of them keep you on the platform. Benign envy makes you click profiles, read articles, send connection requests. Malicious envy makes you scroll faster, seeking relief that never arrives. LinkedIn benefits from both. You benefit from neither. Here is the part nobody tells you. The architecture of the platform is tilted toward malicious envy, not because the designers are evil, but because benign envy requires friction. To convert envy into motivation, you have to do something. You have to reach out. You have to ask questions. You have to sit with the discomfort long enough to identify what specifically you want to change about your own trajectory. Malicious envy requires nothing. You just keep scrolling. And platforms are designed to reward the path of least resistance. The infinite feed, the notification badges, the algorithm that learns which profiles make you linger longest, all of it conspires to keep you in the loop of compare, shrink, scroll, repeat. Ethan Kross, a psychologist at the University of Michigan, has spent years studying what happens to well-being when people passively consume social media. His landmark 2013 study on Facebook found that the more people browsed others' content without engaging, just looking, just comparing, the more their subjective well-being declined over time. The mechanism was clear. Passive consumption triggers upward comparison, and upward comparison, unchecked, drains life satisfaction. Kross and his colleagues have since extended this work, showing that the effect holds across platforms and across age groups. The problem is not social media in general. The problem is the specific behavior of scrolling through curated success without doing anything about it. And LinkedIn is the purest expression of that behavior ever built. It is a highlight reel that looks like a resume. It is Instagram for your career anxiety, dressed in a blazer, asking if you have considered an MBA. So what do? You cannot just delete the app. You know this. The platform holds real value. Job opportunities, professional connections, access to people and conversations you would not find anywhere else. The answer is not to quit LinkedIn. The answer is to stop letting LinkedIn's comparison architecture run on default settings inside your brain. The psychological research points toward a specific intervention. Benign envy and malicious envy diverge at a single critical moment, the moment of interpretation. When you see someone's success, your brain runs a split-second attribution. It decides whether their success feels attainable to you or not. If it feels attainable, if you can imagine a plausible path from where you are to where they are, you get benign envy. You lean in. If it feels unattainable, if the gap seems too wide, too mysterious, too disconnected from your own reality, you get malicious envy. You shrink. The key, then, is to train yourself to disrupt that attribution, to insert a question before the emotional reaction locks in. The question is absurdly simple, and it works. What can I learn from this? Not, how do I feel about this? Not, Do I believe this person truly deserves this? Not, am I behind? Just, what can I learn? That single cognitive shift moves your brain from malicious envy into benign envy without changing anything about the post you just saw. It does not require the other person to be humble. It does not require you to feel confident. It just requires you to ask a different question. And questions are the cheapest, fastest, most accessible form of cognitive reframe available to a human being. But there is a deeper layer here, and it is the one most people never reach. The comparison is not just about careers. It is about narrative control. When you scroll LinkedIn, you are not comparing yourself to other people's careers. You are comparing yourself to other people's stories about their careers. Those are not the same thing. Every promotion announcement leaves out the rejected applications. Every "I'm thrilled to share" post leaves out the months of doubt, the project that nearly collapsed, the manager who almost fired them, the moment they sat in their car in the parking garage and wondered if they had made a catastrophic mistake. You are comparing your behind-the-scenes footage to everyone else's trailer. And the trailer always wins. This is the modern mirror. The same psychological machinery that makes Instagram dangerous for your body image, the endless feed of perfected bodies and curated lives, is now operating on your career identity. And it is arguably more damaging because your career is tied to your sense of competence, your financial stability, your vision of your future self. When Instagram makes you feel unattractive, you can close the app and look in a mirror and remind yourself that lighting and angles and filters exist. When LinkedIn makes you feel professionally inadequate, there is no mirror. There is only your own resume, your own inbox, your own salary. And those things do not argue back against a feed full of announcements. The psychologist Kristin Neff, who pioneered the research on self-compassion at the University of Texas at Austin, has shown that the antidote to social comparison is not higher self-esteem. Higher self-esteem still depends on the comparison. It still asks, am I doing better than them? Self-compassion asks a different question entirely. What do I need right now? Self-compassion treats your career as a human journey rather than a competitive scoreboard. And the research is clear. People who practice self-compassion are more resilient, more willing to take risks, and less destabilized by failure. They do not need LinkedIn to tell them they are okay, because their sense of worth is not posted on a feed. So here is the one thing to try. The next time you open LinkedIn, and you will open it because you live in the world and the world runs on this platform, give yourself exactly 4 minutes. Not to scroll, to search. Find one person whose career genuinely interests you. Not the person who triggers the biggest envy spike, the person whose path you actually want to understand. Read their profile from top to bottom, not their posts, their profile, the timeline of their actual jobs. Notice the gaps, notice the lateral moves, notice the jobs that did not obviously lead to the next job. Then, if you are brave, send them a message, not a connection request with no note, a real message. Say you admire their trajectory. Ask one specific question. 1. Make it genuine. What you are doing in that moment is converting the platform from a comparison engine into an information engine. You are giving your brain what it actually needs, data, not dopamine, and you are using benign envy the way it was meant to be used. LinkedIn will still be there tomorrow with its algorithmic feed and its humble brags and its skyline photos. But you will have done something the platform did not design for you to do. You will have turned a passive scroll into an active choice. And that shift, however small, is the difference between a tool that shrinks you and a tool you actually use. You open LinkedIn at 10:47 p.m. on a Tuesday and immediately regret it.